some like facts and information about the type of debt we have that I thought would be useful. When we have like short-term like borrowing needs, we issue bands, which is very common with municipalities. It's a debt instrument that is also known as a municipal bond. Okay, they're intended to be issued for short periods of time, less than a year. If you're going to need the money more than a year, you typically renew the band. I think you can go up to like maybe 5 times is ideal. And then you really, if you need the money long term, after the year is up, whether you renew or don't renew, typically you move into long-term borrowing, which is a bond versus a band. The band is in anticipation of the bond, but sometimes, you only have temporary need for the money and we don't go long-term. Like is the case, sometimes we borrow to fund projects where we're going to get grant money, but we're not going to have that money available to us until we actually pay all the expenses and submit for reimbursement. So we've used bands to often front cash that we're going to be getting in the form of grant money. And we used like a band last year for the fire truck. We had another source of funding available through the USDA. So it was just short-term usage of funds until we had like replace them with other funds. We have fiscal advisors that we hire. I mean, as you can imagine, this is very regulated, very complex arena. So we have fiscal advisors that we work with very closely. Company that we use is called Municipal Solutions. They're out of Rochester, and we also hire special counsel, bond counsel, to assist with all the closing documents and the bond resolutions. Bands are tax exempt to the investors. Okay, so they tend to, get favorable interest rates. One of the disadvantages of bands is, if you want to pay it off early, you can't. I mean, the investors, you're obligated to, hold on to that, to keep that money tied up in that band for the length of the, whatever the contract states. The resolutions, there are 3 resolutions on the agenda tonight for some upcoming needs that the city has that we'll discuss, I'm sure, as we're going through the agenda. But basically a bond resolution is required. I believe it's a state law that might be local law, I'm not sure. But basically the purpose of the bond council is to get council's approval. We have to borrow the money for the purpose and the objective that the council approves it for. We can't borrow it for one thing and then go and change our mind later. 2/3 of the common council must, that's not a surprise, must approve a resolution. And then our local finance law provides an estoppel procedure. So, we have to get these published. That's why there was kind of an urgency to get this on the next agenda, because we have to renew our next ban in March. And when I say renew, we took out $12.5 million last March. We did redeem some of it. So we paid off some of it, but we had to put that in the actual, borrowing document that usually you cannot, usually bands are not set up to be paid off early. If you have that provision in a borrowing, you're usually going to get like a less favorable interest rate, so we don't do that a lot. But this particular band, because it was so large and we knew that we weren't going to need the whole 12.5 million the whole year, and there's a lot of added interest that you pay. Obviously, the more you keep the debt on the book. So we did pay off quite a bit of it that we, from grant money and things that we received. I think it was in November or December. We have $5 million that we need to renew. And when we renew this band, we're adding in money for these other additional projects. I just wanted to say a quick word on the constitutional debt limit and what that number means to City of Amsterdam. I mean, there's a limit legally how much you can borrow. Less debt is always best, but sometimes you can't avoid it, but we have to be mindful of like our debt limitations. There are certain projects that are excluded can be excluded from this number, but the general, just kind of the rule of thumb is 7% of your property's full valuation is like your debt ceiling, typically. We are, as of 6/30, this debt summary that I handed out is as of June 30th. Now, it's changed since then, okay, but, like, our bond anticipation notes have gone down. I think we went long-term with an EFC project. That's, state financing that's made available to us for water and waste, drinking water and wastewater projects. So these numbers are not exactly the same, but they're pretty close. So it's just a good idea, of like where we stand with short-term debt, long-term debt. The other debt on here, if anyone wants to know what that is actually a 20-year repayment that we set up with the county for county tax money that was owed to them from a number of years ago. It was quite a large amount that was not paid to them when it should have been, and we entered into this long-term agreement with them so that we didn't have to pay it back right away.
That's what the other is? That we
Yes.
said? Okay.
It's about $1 million that was owed to the county,
Yep, I
and
remember
our auditors required us to
pay that back, yeah.
post it as long-term debt. So,
That's the one we pay with the sales tax.
what's that?
That's the one we pay with the sales tax.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, that's really like the long and the short of it. If you have any questions, I'll stop there and see if there are any questions.
So we're $20 million under the limit, the constitutional limit, pretty much, of our debt.
It's probably less than that
Probably
now. I
less
think
than
the
that.
number, our debt
Or
is a
more
little
than
closer to 40 right now.
That's probably like 40, yeah.
Because we had, in the meantime, since June 30th, we took out money, borrowed money for the Five Corners, but we're getting that reimbursed to us, but that's in addition to this now.
Okay.
But that money will, so it's just gonna be increasing our debt total, temporarily, that we'll be paying that off, I think, by summer.
Okay, so we'll be rolling over 5 million and adding another 2 million to that from today, or you talked about clubhouse
So-
things, like what are we?
The clubhouse is not in here.
That'll be separate.
Yes.
Okay.
That's separate. So I believe a big part of what we're voting on tonight is the CHIPS
You've got
money.
three.
Big part of the, I guess the biggest part of the new issue is CHIPS money, but that we'll get back from Department of
Okay, so
Transportation.
the road reconstruction is CHIPS.
Right.
Because that was, when I looked at that, just from the resolution, I was
Right.
like, we're reconstructing roads?
Right.
Awesome, which ones?
But
So,
that will be
yeah,
borrowed
so
and
that's
paid
why we
back.
would put it in a band.
Yes,
Okay, so
Right.
CHIPS, got it. And then we already know about the truck. Okay. So so in this case, we don't have like a monthly payment on it.
well,
This is
we
a,
pay a lot of these, like our bond repayment schedule. These are like annual payments that we make.
Okay.
But it's something that we build into the
It's
budget. We have
budgeted.
every year, like we'll reach out to our fiscal advisors, we do this with their help, when we're doing the budget, they help us forecast all of next year's payments, knowing what we're, they factor in, new projects, new needs, things we're gonna be paying off, and they help us arrive at the amount that we need for budgeting purposes.
Okay. Gotcha.
We have it available to us, but it gets very complicated, so we like to do it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions for Louise on this?
I hope that helps.
I found it helpful.
I found out.
Great. Wonderful. Yeah, it was we had a great conversation about this when we talked about it. And I appreciate what you brought towards
Don't
it.
hesitate. I mean, a lot of this is, fairly new to me. This is a new arena for me. So, I've learned quite a bit myself. Like I didn't really know until today, as a matter of fact, that we had our Standard & Poor's rating withdrawn and we don't have a rating currently. So, you know, when investors are kind of sizing up our van offerings, they use, there's an official statement that our fiscal advisors prepare with us. They use our audited financial statements, but when the next time that we bond for over $1 million, we're gonna have to apply for another rating. But, you know, they're trying to discourage us from, you know, needing to do that yet, because we're not quite, you know, things are much better, much healthier than they were, but we're not quite there yet to get the rating that we hope to get. So, you know.
Is that the one that's like A, B?
I think AAA.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Standard
stuff like
Poor's,
that, yeah.
Moody's, your
Right, it's not a
different
number, but
credit
it's the
rating
letters.
agencies.
Yeah, we don't have one right now. I got it.
We don't have one right now, but we will have one in the future, and hopefully it will be good.
Yeah. Excellent. No more questions on that. Let's move to the golf committee. Alderman Marticello.
All right, listen, Bill Durzin had another commitment. He called me late. Scott Warren called me this morning, and he couldn't get another representative, so I'll do the best I can to answer all your questions for the resolution authorizing the bonds for $140,000 for golf carts. And this is what they told me. The reason being that we like to order, I believe, is 10 golf carts, man? 10 golf, 20?
20 golf course.
20 golf carts, and the reason being ordering the new golf carts would increase our performance for people who are coming in to golf. Rather than wait, because we have a waiting list sometimes on weekends for people to golf, we're costing us and we're losing money because we have all the golf carts that we have issued right now, we're all out on the course. So we have to wait for people to come in, for people to go out. And the golf carts that we have right now are on a lease. And that lease is up this year, and those golf carts are 6 years old. I asked the question, why don't we just purchase the ones that we have leased right now? He said it's not feasible. They're gonna be outdated, the batteries I need, gonna need new batteries. So we're not gonna lease after this year. We're gonna go into purchasing a golf course. That way we'll have equity rather than just lease golf course. It's a waste of money, just like you lease a car, then you got no equity whatsoever and you're paying all this money. So going forward, we'd like to start buying our golf course. That way we own them. And then extra revenue that we get from these golf courses will help offset the payment on the carts that we're gonna have in the near future. And that was explained to me, and the way I talked to the mayor about this, the best way to go is that we would just bond for them $140,000, and the revenue we get, we'll put it towards the purchase of new golf carts.
And
Anything to add, Mayor, on that?
no, I think you explained it. I think based on history, we have lost 22 tee times in prime time per day on a weekend, which has cost us $2,200 a day during the weekend because of the lack of carts. So the timing on this is good because the 40 that we lease now are going to be coming off lease in September. By getting the 20 now, we'll have a full season of having 60 carts to see if in fact it impacts it exactly the way that they're saying it will, which is generate $100,000 more in revenue per year from having 20 more carts. And if that happens, we'll know it by the end of the year. If it doesn't happen, we don't have to at that time buy 40 more.
Right.
We can buy fewer if we're not filling it up. So the timing is good. And the hope is that the revenue generated by these 20 additional carts will more than pay for the payment that we're going to be encumbering because of the $130,000 loan here.
Okay.
So it's going to be a cash flow positive is what we're hoping. It'll be watched closely and we'll be able to adjust at the end of the year if it's not, with the purchase of whatever number of carts we need at that time.
I just wanted to also add that when they have tournaments right now,
Yes.
because they don't have enough carts, they're doing a lot of short-term rentals that are
Right.
very expensive.
And according to Bill, that we'd make about an additional $51,000 a year.
Right, and that's a very important point, Louise. We do have to rent the carts
Yeah, it's like
when we have tournaments,
$1,000.
and we will no longer have to do that this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, so we'll make
$1,000 a
more
day or
money
something.
from that as well.
Yeah, the goal is, of course, with these additional carts will more than pay for themselves by the additional greens fees they bring in and the fact that we save money on rental fees. And we'll see if it's true. And
But
we'll
like
be
you
able to
said, you
adjust
made
it
a
year
point
in.
there. At this point, we're gonna order 20 golf carts. We already leasing 40. And we'll have figures to determine the year after, do we need 40 golf carts to buy or less? And we'll have a good reading on how many carts do we really actually need going forward when it comes to tournaments. And like Louise just mentioned, how many tournaments we'll have and what do we need? How many people come on, golfing on the weekends as per the weekdays? That way we're not short and we can generate enough revenue, hopefully, to get the golf on the deck. That's the main thing, to get us out of debt. Any questions?
So how many carts is 140?
20.
20,
24.
purchasing 20 with that amount.
We have 40 right now, Irene, that we are leasing.
Right.
And we're gonna have a total of 60.
Right.
So is that too much? We don't know. But the year after, next year, at this time when golf season's all over, and we're gonna have to purchase new carts again, do we need to purchase 40? Do we need to purchase 30? We'll have a good reading on the income, how much we took in.
I just forwarded, so Scott emailed me this afternoon with, the golf cart information, which is probably what you're reading off
Yeah, I
of.
asked him to.
Yeah, so I sent it to
information.
everybody, because I just think that stuff is helpful to have. And actually knowing that this isn't a 1-year turnaround payment and not a long-term payment, not long-term debt, that's good too. So, yeah, as long as we get like this follow-up information at the end, I think that's great. If we keep continuing kind of this cycle of, we'll have another meeting and he'll let us know how it's going.
And the big difference is that we will own these carts in the end versus right now, we've paid for 40 carts for 5 years and we
Right.
have no equity. And so this will be, we own these when we're done and they do have value. And, we did the math and it comes out much better this way, so hopefully we'll be all set.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Thank you.
All right, Public Works?
Okay, Public Works, resolution authorize issuance of bond, here we go again, for $230,000. And I think we discussed this last time in the meeting, I wasn't here, but I think all of you discussed it as I read the paper. And Mike, you wanna just elaborate a little bit more on this? And we're gonna borrow the money. for
Yeah,
this
so
truck.
we, the last time we discussed it, we said we had, what we discussed, sorry, was the purchase of a new single axle 20 cubic yard garbage packer truck. That's what that 230,000 represents. That's, should be the high end of what we should have to pay. So we will be taking bids on the truck in a couple of weeks. We'll know for certain, so the timing will coincide well with the issuance of the bond. I don't want to take the bids too early, because I don't, they only have to hold them for 45 days, and I'm not sure when, number one, we still had to pass this resolution, and number two, assuming that went through, when we would actually receive the money and have it in an account. But that is to replace, if you recall the discussion, we need 3 serviceable packer trucks on any given day for the city's needs. Some days it's just one with a reserve. There's a breakdown, unfortunately, on a regular basis, partly because of the aging fleet. We have actually 2 good serviceable trucks. One is in service currently, another one's and 2 others are being repaired. One's being repaired. The short version of that is we have one from Schenectady that we are effectively renting. And we have another rental from Pennsylvania that I would really like to get back to them, because that's not a cheap rental either, at $11,000 a month. So to summarize it, historically, we've always kept 4 garbage trucks. The 4th one was garbage itself. If I could have fit it in any one of the other 3 trucks, I would have done that and gotten rid of it generally. But we've always kept it because we haven't been able to maintain a good replacement program where we would take one out of service and out of the fleet at the proper time. Problem is, when you keep doing that, they keep wearing it. Suffice it to say that out of every vehicle that the city owns, on the public works end, I can speak for anyway, they take the greatest beating every day. And they wear out. 10 years is a long time on one. When you get beyond that, there's major repairs are involved.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Louise, is this probably a cost that we're gonna have to roll over next year, or are we gonna have a way to pay this
Well,
off?
we're borrowing. Yes.
Right, so in the bond, is it likely that we're gonna roll it over in
Oh,
our
I
debt
see what
next
you're
year?
saying. Yeah, that's something, I mean, that's a conversation I'm gonna have with our debt advisors, because we also have USDA funding available to us
Okay.
for a purchase like this. I mean, we have other
True.
places we can go later. We may just renew it,
Mhm.
in a few years and pay it off that way.
But for right now, it's just getting the money so we can get what we need, and then we'll figure it out, okay.
It's a low enough amount that I think we can probably, probably get some budget money, pay out, some of it. So I'm hoping to avoid long-term
Contingency,
financing.
things like that, okay. Yeah, that was just my question on that. Okay,
And the next is authorize the issue of bonds, $1.5 million for street repair, and as Mike, you mentioned before, this is just a reimbursement of CHIPS money that we're gonna get. We forward the money now to the contractor so we can get the work done, and then, we pay him, and then we just get reimbursed. Okay?
when do you wanna do the fancy map, here or later?
Whatever suits anybody.
Fancy map.
While we're on this, is Wilbur Street in your ward?
Yes,
Did you get a call about getting that street paved?
no, I didn't.
Oh, they called, I said, I had no idea what ward it was in at first or second, but
Yeah,
some gentleman, because they had that, remember the rain we had?
yeah, from the
And that
rain.
thing got washed away, so
Mm.
if you wanna put that street on your street program, go right ahead.
Yeah, do we
Well-
still have more work to do on that street?
I just, on the street, or
On
the
like
drain,
the drainage and everything, that we wouldn't.
I'm just gonna bring in a little more stone to satisfy DEC and throw in a couple of, large stone and a couple of, under drain pipes. And that should keep everybody happy.
Yeah, well, cause you
They
said
wanted
like.
me to dig a ditch,
Mhm.
not go through the barrier and then fill in the ditch. Don't try to make sense out of it, but that was what the environmental folks wanted us to do. I explained to them that when you fill in the ditch, it really doesn't work well anymore. But I figured out a way to do it. So at any rate, that's where we're left. It seemed, we've had some pretty good rain, unfortunately, this winter. And we haven't had a problem since we did, like that one time, when was it, Mayor? It was December, wasn't it? When we
Yeah.
had that.
That crazy.
And so we have, what's there works.
It does.
But we wouldn't wanna repave a road, cause right now, cause we'd still think we might have to go
Wilbur
back.
Street going up the hill.
Yeah.
Is atrocious.
Right, so that could be on the list, or?
I had, right now,
You have
actually,
it
if
on
you
the
take a look, I have it in as an alternate, only because,
An alternate.
I put that in there as a discussion item. This is just a draft list. I'm still hoping that, if anybody's got other streets,
And I tell you, upper Mineville Street. That was one.
and I was gonna ask, because we don't have many on the south side right now, so I need some suggestions.
Yeah, that was one that was,
And the only caveat I would put out there is that we don't know what our actual numbers are our total CHIPS allowance is gonna be for this year. So we will not know that ultimately until probably a week after the state budget passes, so late April.
In the governor's budget, there has been a reduction in what they call pothole aid and touring car aid, which may drop our, if it's passed by the legislature, if they take the governor's recommendation, we may lose some money, but yeah, it'll bring us back down to historic levels, back to 1817. because we got 2-1 last year, but we'll wait and see. So Mike is playing it conservative and waiting until we get a number.
1.3, yeah. Yeah, Zach sent Stephanie a cool map to put up. I want to see that.
So what you got here is, well, it's an aerial map of the city. If you look at on the right-hand side, there's a neat little color key, which is worth noting. The purple, and you'll have to zoom in to get a better idea and be able to see the streets, but the purple are the streets that we're proposing so far for 2024. And then I'm coming from here, what is it? And then the green streets, if you look, in general, give you an idea of the streets that have been paved in the last 10 years. And in other words, those are the streets that are not eligible to be funded under CHIPS, because they're still within the 10-year window. You'd be shocked to see, if you look at the red, for example, those are streets that were paved between 93 and 2002 and haven't been touched since. The really amazing thing to me when you look at this is that there are still streets that aren't colored at all.
About Main Street.
And the reason they're not colored at all is because there are some streets that have not been touched in more than 30 years.
Wow.
Which is a long time for asphalt pavement. I will say that some of them are in residential areas that see low volumes of traffic and not many trucks. That takes it easy on asphalt and it tends to last longer in those conditions. But still, even if it's just in your driveway, 30 years is a long time not to touch it. And the only other thing I would add is we're doing this this is a snapshot of one of the layers in our GIS platform. And it's just one of the many things that we're building into this database, into our system. So it's still evolving and it will continue to evolve indefinitely. But it's taking us away from, rooms and rooms and rooms full of paper.
And it gives you a real good at a glance view of, the sections of our city and the work that has been done, right? And
You make good decisions based on
Great
that.
stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions about this?
Anything else on Public Works? All right, we'll do a quick kind of wrap up of this part of the committee meeting and then we'll get into the committee of the whole, because there's not a lot in the committee of the whole, because we talked about most of the things here. The Super Bowl. Last year, we did a small Super Bowl competition. I got a bunch of information in my day job about, a lot of the food pantries being, short and, a lot of food shortages. And so I thought, and I saw some Super Bowl competitions that schools were doing. And I thought, well, we could do that amongst the council. And it was kind of thrown together at the last minute. So so I won.
You just had to throw that part in.
I did, I have a cute kid. I totally used him and my mom made some fun boxes and we basically put them on our front porches and saw what happened. So this year I'd like to do a little more of a competition. And what it was really cool for me was that I got to meet a lot of different neighbors I didn't know, or just other people in the ward I got to connect to through this. So I think it's a great way for us to get out in our wards and let them know that we're here and we're serious and we're about doing good. So Stephanie has a lot of crafty talents, and last year she made our winning thing, and she says it's even better this year.
This year is very extravagant.
Extravagant.
It's quite a surprise.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So I think some of the details I put in here is that we could start tomorrow. The Super Bowl is Sunday already. But I know that's a different date, February 11th. So if, we could do it for a solid week, and next Wednesday, report our numbers to the clerk. She can keep it top secret. And then, just thinking about, you can do anything you want for the collection site, and then even like for the donations. I don't know if every ward has a place to donate or not. I'm sure that the soup kitchen would take donations.
All of them.
OFN or OFA, Office of the Aging, would take donations. I don't know if anyone else has any other places they are attached to that they'd like their donations to go to, or
So the rules is you don't have to have it at your house, you can have it someplace else.
Catholic Charities, they also have one. You don't have to have it at your house. My goal last year, and I didn't get a chance to do this, was to have like a station somewhere else in my ward, because I'm over in Rockton, the rest of my ward is on the other side of Market Street. So yeah, you can have multiple drop sites. You can, I thought the Fifth Ward, a good spot would be like the Creative Connections Clubhouse. Like you can get the clubhouse involved and have those kids collect cans for you. You can get, a group in the Fourth Ward involved. I mean, you can't get people on Guy Park Avenue involved in yours, because that is, somebody else's ward. Actually, either one of their
Nobody
wards.
knows, I can do whatever I want.
No, well, it's all about integrity in elections and super.
A win is a win.
Okay, Donald.
I will not take 15 cases from the soup kitchen and put them on my porch.
Yeah, so if there's too much, if all of a sudden they're all like the same flavor, we'll know what you did. All right, so any other questions on that? I think it'd be really fun, good for the community, and yeah, good way to connect forward, so fun stuff. And then the last thing I want to discuss, I think we could probably table the next one, the communications and presentation discussion.
And like to do that if you needed to do.
Yeah, you can do like your portion of it. And then communication. So for communications and presentations, which is on the agenda as number 6, Stephanie is going to compile a list of the communication we get as a board. For example, we get the minutes from the Civil Service Commission, ADA, usually zoning and planning boards. We get different reports from the controller's office. And so she's just gonna kind of list those out. Like this month we've received reports from, and list them out just that we know that we got them, and also they're public reports that anybody could foil or things like that. It's something that we would do in Schenectady County when I worked there, is just kind of have that running list. And so she can just read, we've received the following reports. And then we can see like, oh, if we haven't gotten a report from a certain board in a while or something like that. So that's just what that is for the record, for record keeping. And then presentations, we had talked about doing some that's better than my coughing fit last week. About maybe department head reports, but I think we'll get further into that with the mayor and stuff like that. I realized that it was getting overly complicated, my original idea for this committee. When I had in the last minute, the last committee where I had like, oh, maybe we'll have A and B, and way too complicated. But just this is a space and a time for us to bring anything that we want to discuss. So if anybody has things that they want to put on the next committee agenda or they want to bring to the table, just let me know, and I'll make sure to reach out to everybody and ask them for that as well as we continue to evolve this year and create space, which is my theme in life right now. So let's go into the cow quickly. The minutes from last meeting. Thank you, Stephanie, for doing those. We have a resolution transferring funds for the water reservoir, sponsored by Mr. Carpenter. We have to transfer some funds, it looks like.
Was a difference between an estimate and actual.
Yeah. School tax bills associated. Yep, so we're just balancing that out, $2,000. Any questions on that? All right, so Commissioner of Deeds, we do this every year. And for these same individuals. Does anyone have any questions on this? What commissioners can do? Great. Yeah, Kathy gets this done every year, and then Christopher. Right, resolution authorizing transfer of funds, additional public safety roof cost. Chief? You just have to pay more for this?
Well, the project went a little over what they originally anticipated, especially with the, I think it was 7 roof trays that couldn't be removed, so they put like, some sleeves inside of those. Zach came over and looked and he said, yeah, that's a definite, way to get around that, so that's what that money is for.
Sounds good. Any questions on that? Alderwoman Collins on that? Bonds. We've talked about the golf cart fund. Sanitation vehicle in the roads. Are there any questions on, any further questions on those? All right. And then the audit. Alderwoman Collins? Audit's fine too. Excellent. That was fast. All right. So we're done with that. Do you have about 15 minutes? Do you have more, Mike, that you wanted to talk to us about, or?
I can always talk.
I
have my memo. I am ashamed to say that the memo's updated and it's in good shape, but I did not change the date on it. That's my fault. Let's see, in no particular order, the transmission line clearing is going well. They're advancing north, the hand cutting is almost to Route 29 in various blocks. Cutting by hand along the right of way, the mechanized, clearing hasn't made it that far north yet. But it is going well, and I do expect that we'll see that done here at some point in March. Far quicker than I believed it could have actually been done. But the company we're working with, Tri-State, is very professional. Five Corners demo project is substantially complete. Maybe a few cleanup items, but then we need to work with our economic development folks on the next steps in terms of whether or not there's going to need to be any additional subsurface testing under the building. That's going to involve probably an on-site meeting and some conversations with DEC. They did do last year, they did do some the subsurface testing around the perimeter of the building, but did not, obviously couldn't do it. They didn't do it through the floor slab. So whether or not they want that is gonna.
We're testing under the building now.
Yes, and
Did they pick up that drum, Mike, do you know?
I believe they did, yeah.
Could you just confirm that for me?
Go look. You can work at the water filtration plant on a filter bed number 5 is underway. We're demoing it. It's resulted in additional backwash water, which not surprising, we're seeing additional flow due from it at the wastewater treatment plant, but it's contained, it's dealt with. And the road program. Now, the list you have before you is slightly edited from the one I had issued to you as a draft on January 16th. And the reason for that is we had my office had a planning meeting with National Grid for their projects and their gas projects that they really want to get done. And they still have all the work on East Main Street. It appears that they're gonna have the permit from DOT to do it. And which would involve stub lines down all the side streets off of East Main. So we had those on in our plan for the street program last year. We pulled them off because we don't want to be stepping on National Grid, and at the same time, I don't want to get done before them and have them dig through brand new asphalt. The same thing's going on this year. I may be able to get those streets in at the end of the job, but I can't say that yet because I don't know of the pace that they're gonna advance their work down East Main Street yet. If they start early enough, it's possible. So what that means is if you look at the table on the third page, just as a conservative approach, I have a number of streets kind of in a base. I have 4 alternates right now. Ironically, all the ones I had to pull out of there from being uncertain about what National Grid, the timing of their work, we're all in Ward 5. So you may want some other streets in Ward 5 because we don't have that many right now. I know Jim just mentioned Upper Minaville, and I have added that.
Corey Street, at Corey Street. That's the street that goes down, I believe, Washington and takes a left at the bottom. I just thought about it. Thanks to my chiefs. Yeah. That one.
But, so anyway, to recap what I had said a few weeks ago, regardless of the funding level, we're still gonna, I would hope that we're still somewhere in the 1.6 level or above. Even if we're at that 1.5 million or above, we need to start far sooner than we did in years past, meaning that I really want to have our program underway in the field in May. And if you back those dates up, that means I need to have this project advertised for bid in March. At some point, certainly by the second meeting in March, I would like to bring a resolution to you folks to authorize the clerk to advertise. If you take that back still further, by the first meeting in March, I think, well, I don't think, what I would need from you is some concurrence from the council on what that list is gonna look like for the project.
What's your dateline? What's the last day you need it by?
When's the first meeting in March?
Okay.
Well, no later than the first meeting in March, which is, I don't know right in front of me.
That's all right.
Anybody have a calendar?
Oh, it should be also March 6th. Oh, it's March 5th.
March 5th.
Because it's a leap year. Other than that, March and February always match up. March 5th.
March 5th.
Is there gonna be a lead project this year?
We don't have one funded yet. There's a new initiative with the US EPA whereby they're going to provide some assistance in us basically categorizing or documenting all the lead lines we have in the city. We need the help. Every old city in the Northeast needs the help because it's where most of the lead service lines are in this country. And hopefully, it won't be in 2024, I don't believe, but hopefully that will lead to a follow-on larger project. But in order to do that, there really needs to be some funding freed up somewhere. Just back of the napkin, so to give you an overview, so we had a grant for $521,000 through New York State Department of Health. That got us about 51 services. So we averaged $10,000 a service. Back of the napkin, throwing a dart at the wall, every other cliche you can think of, estimate of how many lead lines are still out there is somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 1,500 within the city. If that's even close to being accurate, that 1,500 in the cost we just saw today is about $15 million. It's a lot of darn money. And, to get a project of that size is very large. I expect there's going to be federal and state funding in the future. But I think the first step is getting our inventory done so that we can say definitively we've got 1,480, we've got 1,520. I think before that funding is out there in the future, we're going to have to, everybody's going to have to define what that number really is.
Any, idea what's happening on Brant Place with the flooding of the drains? The last big storm we had, the manhole was floating. from the
Where was
water.
this?
Brant Place. Brant.
Oh, yeah, it was surcharged. Yes, that is unfortunately, that's a common occurrence.
Every storm.
Every storm, and the reason for that is you've got a very large line, with a, but it's not, I say it's a large line, but it's not large enough. It's on a very steep pitch, and when we get those storms with our combined sewers, what it's doing is essentially pressurizing that sewer, and it's pressurizing it enough to lift a 220-pound manhole cover. One option is to replace those covers with the types that have the locking tabs on them, but they can be problematic. Like once you get them locked, sometimes tough to get them open if you don't open them all the time. The other option is to just put weld a few spots on that cover. And then whenever you need to get in, you break the weld. Fixing the line, enlarging the line is a larger issue because you can't just enlarge a section, you gotta take it all the way to the trunk line or separate the storm from the sanitary sewer, which is also a problem. So yes, it is, we have a few other places that'll do the same thing. Generally, it's on a very steep hill or closer to the bottom. And it's really a function of us putting being a combined system where we're putting stormwater combined with the sanitary. It's the same reason that our average flow at the wastewater plant will go from 6 to 7 million gallons a day to when you have an event like that that's lifting that cover and a couple of others, that flow will go from up as high as 24 million gallons.
Well, we really have to look at that because that's the hill where all the buses come down.
Oh, well,
You got school buses coming down, you got people going up, taking their kids to school, and I was by there, and I had to go around it because it was just there, so.
I'll
someone
weld it,
just
and then
flies
I'll
up.
weld the next one below it too, because what it'll do is just pressurize it further down,
Yeah.
fortunately.
We're
Would
gonna
you send me an email on it, just so I,
Sure.
Mr. Clark, the sub for National Grid on Roman Avenue, are they just tying up loose ends, or are they gonna be using concrete for the rest of that project and continue working?
They, if they're doing any now, they better be using concrete.
Yeah, they were, today, but they were filling the trench with concrete.
I prefer that to cold patch, that's for sure. It's not a bad option for restoration, as long as they try and screed it off so it's at grade with the rest of the road.
Not like Church Street about.
Like that,
100 yards
yeah,
up right there.
when you get kind of a hump in there, it annoys everybody. As a matter of fact, in the last few years, we've had to, and don't get me wrong, we've spoken to National Grid about their subcontractors' restoration practices. Said if you're gonna do it, you've got to use something other than the bucket on a backhoe to level it out. Because we've had to mill through a few of them when we're paving, actually mill them off with the milling machine.
Like, where are we in demolition?
Demolition for,
Well, those houses on East End, we still don't own them yet? Ones that are falling off the.
they've submitted those, they've been approved, tell me those are the two buildings on, East Main Street. East Main?
On East Main.
217, 219.
No, he's talking about the end.
Oh, yeah.
321, we own one out of those, I believe, Alderman,
We own more.
more at the entrance to the city.
That the yellow one?
The one that we own?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a yellow one.
Is that the
I
yellow
believe it
one?
is the yellow.
Is it?
There's the yellow and the green depending
I think
on.
it's a green
The
one.
yellow, green, and the red brick. The ones, in fact, the
I want to
squatters,
say we own the
the
actual.
squatters that are
we submitted demos to the land bank for funding.
Okay.
That wasn't on the list, Jimmy. We do need to, look at putting some more into demos. We've had a lot of, fire debris
Okay,
removals that are kind of eating up our budget, but we're looking at it, yeah.
okay.
Mike, is there anything you can talk to us? We're studying the water. We got the scope we're looking at, possible loss of water. Do we have that service in the city yet? Is it here doing their job?
Yeah, you're talking about a leak detection survey?
Yes, leak
We
detection,
found a
I'm
few
sorry. Thank you
leaks.
for
It may,
making it
it may have amounted to, I mean, we won't know till they're all repaired, but I would say we found a couple 100,000 gallons of leaks. It sounds like a lot. It's not, those aren't major leaks.
But they're done?
No, they're not done
They're
yet. The
still
survey's done.
The survey's done.
The survey's done. Now we're repairing. We started with the first one. The biggest increase in water use, it has come from the fact that we're down a filter at the water treatment plant. And because of that, so we're essentially loading the remaining filters more. It's still within their capacity, but what it triggers is higher backwash rates. So a larger percentage of the incoming raw water will go to waste as a result of that when we're loading it, because you're going to put all that, like trying to push water through 6 garden hoses and then taking one away. So we're picking up more of that particulate quicker, so we wind up wasting more water, and that is also why the about 1 million gallon a day increase in total usage at the filtration plant has also shown up now at the wastewater treatment plant. So
Did we have started demolition on that yet with the?
yeah, that's underway. It's gonna be a process because we're taking it by the numbers, but we're demoing that with the under drains and the filter bed number 5 now. As soon as the demo is done, Randy and I have to get with Kester Associates and the manufacturers of the Leopold under drain to get them sized. I gotta do a load calculation, get it approved through New York State Department of Health, and then once we have that approval, we need to purchase them and get them installed.
What are we talking in terms of time?
By the time they're back in service, we've easily got another 2.5 months, just because of the steps that you have to go through.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully I'm being too conservative in it sooner, but I wouldn't put money on it.
Okay.
Tony, I want to thank you. Clark Street demolition, when Miss O'Hara comes up here and complain, I've been trying to get a hold of her, but it's completed. Clark Street is complete.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
They gotta put grass seed down.
It's removed. It looks clean.
Good. Good news. Took a long time.
Yeah, we're not holding our breath for thank yous, but
Work
thank
through it. Okay, we got a couple more minutes to go. Anybody else? I did send everybody some information on the golf course. What we're trying to do is put that project together. Well, we've interviewed 2 design firms, both of which we think are very qualified and have submitted really good concepts. So what we're trying to do is decide which of those 2 firms we want to use, and we're putting together a project that we need to be able to afford it, and we need to be able to make it nice. So that's what we're doing. And I hope by the next meeting to come to you with a recommendation for moving forward with the hiring and financing of that project. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer about where we are with that. But
What would you like our answer, Mayor? I'm pretty well set.
well, you've given me some inputs already. I know, based upon what I've heard so far, how you'd like me to proceed. And so I think the next step is up to, Mike and I have talked about going back to the designers and picking one and figuring out how we're going to do that. I talked to both designers today to let them know we're in that process. Both are still very, very much interested in the project. They take 2 different approaches, but,
We discussed this, even though you showed us A and you showed us B, there can be variations. with
Absolutely.
anything. So if we don't like it, the whole total complex of three, we can break three down into sections, right?
Right, we know, so from what we know right now, it's gonna be a 3-season venue room. It's not going to be, and it's gonna have a bar in it, it's going to have
I do have a question.
Huh?
I do have a question that a lot of people ask me. You and I discussed about
Okay.
the pro shop.
Yes,
That
sir.
you wanna turn that into a bar.
Right, what we're thinking right now,
Well,
the thinking
this-
is right now, and we've been discussing that, is,
Tell me about the grill. Can we put the grill in a building or the grill?
well, that's an option, but we're hoping to put a kitchen, a short order kitchen into the pro shop,
Okay,
existing pro shop with bathrooms that would service the outdoor, the 3-season room, so that we don't have to put them in there.
okay, that answers my question.
But we need to have it all designed together.
And the reason being not put it in the building, you give us more room.
Right.
Okay.
And also, again, you don't need it in the 3-season room if it's right next door in the pro shop, in the new kitchen.
Thank you.
But also we want to get that hole filled up and the slab done. We're going to get that done as quickly as possible. And so that's where we are.
Would you like to, do you think you'd like to do something like as a committee meeting next meeting, or do you want to do it as a presentation during the?
I'm gonna try and figure that out in the next week or so.
Okay.
But we definitely want to get the golf commission involved as well, and the
Right.
council. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of getting that done, but we're right there. We're looking for additional funding. I've been appealing to, sending out letters, asking for help, financial assistance. Just trying to cover all of our bases so that when I come to you on the 17th, I've got everything put together.
Okay, so we'll kind of talk about that before the agenda goes out as
Yeah.
far as how we'll do it.
All right, why don't we stand for the
Very
pledge
good.
of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderwoman Christopher.
Here.
Alderman Holliday.
Here.
Alderwoman Collins. Here. Alderman Carpenter.
Here.
Alderman Marticello.
Here,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as is.
Alderwoman Christopher.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman
all
Marticello.
right.
Okay, do we have any proclamations?
No, but I have communications and presentations.
Okay, we'll skip over to those.
Okay. January 8th, the expense control report was sent over for a period, this period for the month 7 to 12. That was sent over by Sharon on January 8th. Zoning board agenda was sent on January 23rd, 2024, and the zoning board decisions were provided on February 2nd of 2024. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Is that it?
Mhm.
Okay, this is a portion of the meeting where we have the public participate. Anybody out there would like to say something, please approach the podium, give us your name and address. You get 5 minutes to tell us what you want to talk to us about. Okay, there's no one. Then Louise, you want to go any further than what you talked about in terms of controls report? Okay, do we have no old business?
Nope.
So we're on to new business, which means we're into the resolutions.
Okay. Resolution 2324-153, resolution adopting the minutes of the last common council meeting by Alderwoman Quist Demars. Resolved, the minutes of the common council regular meeting of January 16th, 2024 are hereby adopted.
So moved for discussion? Hearing none? Call the roll.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye,
Resolution 2324-154, resolution transferring funds, school tax bill, water reservoir by Alderman Carpenter. Whereas the city budgeted $235,000 for the cost of the 23-24 school tax bills associated with our water reservoir. And whereas the actual total of all school bills total $237,018. Now therefore be it resolved, the controller is authorized to transfer funds from the 23-24 fiscal year budget as follows. Decrease contingency fund $2,018 into school tax.
So moved. Open for discussion?
Call the roll.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
aye,
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
And Alderwoman Collins. Resolution 2324-155, resolution reappointing Commissioner of Deeds by Alderman Holliday. Whereas the common council is authorized by the New York State Executive Law, Section 139, to appoint Commissioner of Deeds for a term of 2 years from the date of their appointment. Now therefore be it resolved, the following persons are hereby appointed Commissioners of Deeds for the City of Amsterdam, New York, for 2 years from this date of appointment. Kathy Bonfi, Amsterdam Riverfront Center. Christopher Carpenter, 5 Carpenter Street, right, Catherine Street.
That's okay.
Got it over right now.
Got
Ronald
my own
Rayfield,
street now.
12 Phillip Street.
So moved, open for discussion. You're going to abstain?
Abstaining.
Yeah, we'll call the roll.
Okay, Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter, abstaining.
Abstaining.
And Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
And Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-156, resolution authorizing transfer of funds, additional public safety roof costs by Alderwoman Collins. Whereas the roof replacement project at Public Safety has been completed, and whereas the amount borrowed to cover the roof replacement cost was based on estimates, the awarded contract was $3,333.09 more than the amount borrowed. Whereas when the roof was removed and the drains were exposed, it was determined that 7 new roof drains needed to be installed at an additional cost of $11,500. This expense was not included in the original proposal. Whereas the additional funds of $14,839 are needed in order to pay for the roof replacement and cover the cost of the drains.
So moved. Open for discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
And Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-157, resolution authorizing the issuance of $140,000 of bonds of the City of Amsterdam, Montgomery County, New York, to pay the cost of the acquisitions of golf carts in and for said city by Alderwoman Collins.
Oh, Jimmy.
So moved.
So we changed this last time when you were gone, Alderman Marticello, that they want to, council wants to move things for discussion. So we move it, we're moving it for discussion, now it's open for discussion.
No problem,
If there's no discussion, then you ask to call.
no problem. So moved.
I just want to,
No problem.
thank Louise for her explanation of the bonds tonight to give us an idea, and Mr. Warren for providing the memo regarding the carts. I think that's very helpful and something that we need when we make these decisions.
Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
And Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-158, resolution authorizing the issuance of $230,000 of bonds of the City of Amsterdam, Montgomery County, New York, to pay the cost of the acquisition of a sanitation vehicle for use by the city's Department of Public Works in and for said city by Alderwoman Collins.
So moved. Discussion? Call the roll.
Okay, sorry. Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Thank you.
And Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-159, a resolution authorizing the issuance of $1,500,000 bonds of the City of Amsterdam, Montgomery County, New York, to pay the cost of reconstruction of various city streets in and for said city by Alderwoman Collins.
So moved. Discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins. And Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-160, resolution approving the audit by Alderwoman Collins. Resolved.
Open for discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
And Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
That's it?
I think that's it.
Anyone else say anything else? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Alderwoman Quistamars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, what do you